All right, here we go. This is Google pay-per-click ads for real estate agents and realtors part two. Part two. This is a follow-up to a session Ryan and I did last week, which got a ton of great questions, feedback, engagement, etc. And we're going to dig into that. We've got a great list of questions and additional things to think through as it relates to Google PPC ad campaigns and using that to grow your real estate database and get more clients, right? So I want to start with, actually, let me start by saying this. If you didn't watch part one, you should be able to find a link to that above or below this video, wherever you see the description. And I would highly recommend you check that out first, right? Because that will give you the context and the step-by-step process. Ryan's, let's call it, super simple Google pay-per-click ad process, right? A simple way for you to start with Google ads so that A, you don't lose your shirt, and B, you can start building some momentum and getting some traction and actually, building your database. So go check that out first, and then you can dig back into this. And if you have questions after you've been through both of these that weren't addressed in either one, certainly you can reach out. You can comment below, email mike@growwithjosh.com, and we're happy to help. We've also we took the first session, and Mike on my team turned that into a manual, like literally a step-by-step manual.
Oh, he did.
You can, that you can use to follow the process. So, if you want to have a screenshots and text instructions, you can do that. And there's information on how to get that in the description of this as well.
Josh, can I also mention that we got the website fired up, realestatetestdummies.com.
Yes.
So these resources, the initial video is there on the homepage, and then we'll get these resources attached to that as well. So
absolutely, check out HTTP. I'm going to put this in the comments.
Yeah, it's just the first episode and a simple logo, but it'll evolve over time.
Totally. But it will grow and evolve over time, as you mentioned.
And you guys can go there and subscribe by email to any updates. So when we do tests, you'll be able to get the results on any of the manuals that Mike prepares. Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep.
First question for you before we even share screen. Yep. I had a great conversation with an agent in, I forget what part of Florida, but he watched the first session. He was very interested. He needs help. This is like his second career. He's trying to build his database and find a good way to generate, to generate clients, to build, to generate leads and get clients. And in particular, he's from the North. He moved down there. He thinks that's a great niche to kind of focus on, which I totally agree. And I think Google pay-per-click is a perfect platform for this. So he's all in on that. The problem he has, and this, and thereby my question to you, is he doesn't have KB Core. He just started using Follow Up Boss. What sort of tech, like what would be the minimum viable product that he would need to do something like this and get going with something like this?
There's a lot of options for landing pages. I've used something like Typeform or some of the off-the-shelf form generators in the past to just make a quick page, sort of like what we did last week. There's also, Josh, we've used, I don't know if Lead Pages is still around, but you have ClickFunnels, Lead Pages, and there are some more affordable options. If you're a WordPress user, there are lots of free WordPress plugins that'll let you build a landing page.
And I know you may not be like, well, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Do you know what is the minimum disclosure stuff that has to be on a page to send Google pay-per-click traffic to?
Yeah, they like to have a privacy policy and some kind of navigation.
Okay.
If you use a form generator, what you're probably going to want to do is embed that on your existing real estate website.
Yep.
I'm going to assume that most people watching this have a website. So if you go the Typeform route, there's a way to embed that in your website. And then when Google gets there, they won't be looking at a Typeform link. They'll be looking at your website, your real estate website, and it'll look legit.
Which will naturally have the navigation, the privacy, all of that. At least it should anyway.
Yeah. But you can most people have an IDX search, right?
Right.
So if you drive straight to that list, we talked about that in episode 1. If you drive straight to your IDX search, it can work, and you have a good registration flow. Most of the major providers, KV Core's competitors, do that.
Yeah. And that's actually on my list of follow-up questions later to dig into a little bit more as well.
I love this question though, because let's build a way that people who don't have an expensive IDX solution to do this kind of flow, like
100%.
a landing page flow. You and I have been talking about something like that. Maybe in the next few weeks we'll come out with something.
Absolutely. So stay tuned on that. And if if you're watching this after the fact and you'd like more information about that, certainly let us know. Happy to get you plugged in to that. All right. Why don't we do this? What do you want to look at first? Do you want to look at follow-up sequence, or let's actually,
let's look at your campaign.
Yeah, let's look at that first, because that's kind of fun. So let me share my screen here. And let me also say that because I am naturally impatient, and I am also, I would say, a type A personality, we created a bunch of campaigns.
Good.
So we started with one on the session, but I wanted to make sure that we had some data to really unpack on here and look at some things and talk about some different things. So I took the idea and the process that Ryan shared with us, and we actually ended up doing, I don't know, I created like 4 or 5 total campaigns using the exact same steps and flow. And so that's part of my line of questioning. But did we start with, we did Mechanicsburg, right? That's the one we actually had created live. Okay. So that one, and we're at a week's time here.
Yep.
Only 287 impressions, which is kind of low, but 34 clicks and an 11.85 click-through rate, which seems pretty good. I mean, I don't.
Yep. This is actually perfect. I'm getting excited about these numbers because they're not great.
Right. So 4 conversions, which I have something I want to bring up, a question on that as well, because I don't know that that's 100% accurate, and I'll ask some questions there, and there may be some things that we do as a follow-up, which may lead to a part 3 of this at some point. But so 4 conversions, which is about the same. When you were sharing your numbers from the first session, you were getting about 10-11% conversion.
The conversion rate.
4 clicks, 4 conversions, that's actually pretty good. The conversion ratio is pretty good, but the cost per click is a lot higher than what you were paying and demonstrating, which was like around $1.
Yep.
Okay. So where do we want to go?
Let me explain a little of that. So some of your area was a little bit more narrow than St. Pete, Florida, which is kind of a destination, and we have a lot more search volume.
Yep.
So part of a more expensive cost per click could just be less available traffic and Google's algorithm not really quite sure what to do.
Yep.
The algorithm's always going to try to spend your money. What I usually see, and what a lot of people do, is they'll freak out and say, "Oh no, I'm paying $28 a lead. This isn't going to work." I would invite you to buy the data for a few more weeks, because you're going to see that number come down.
Right.
The other thing that jumps right out at me too is what you kind of hinted at. There could be an issue with the conversion pixels.
Well, and here's my thought on that.
Yep.
Does it matter that we were sending people after click to an open page on the site? Like, will that trigger a conversion?
Yeah, it will. If you have your conversion, your KV Core conversion pixel installed correctly, it should fire when the conversion happens. And
which means the conversion happening, meaning the person submitting the send the list now button on the link.
It's on the submission of that form.
Okay. Well then, and maybe what's happening then is that maybe I'm getting some extra conversions from other places that maybe aren't directly attributable to this, but it's all kind of working.
I think you're paying. And then the other thing, when you get a more expensive click, is ad relevancy, right? Did you add any more keywords, or did you?
Yes. So if we click,
let's look at the keywords, and then you're going to get season.
This one you actually had done a few things with, and then I went a little bit I did some other things on the other campaigns as well.
Let's look at the
That might
keywords.
be of interest to. So, okay, here we go. So we switched to you. After a day or so, you saw that it was low impressions, and I think
Yep.
you switched from broad match, which has the brackets, to
Exact.
phrase match, which is in quotes.
Yeah, I switched from exact to
Okay,
phrase.
exact to phrase. Okay, that's right. Exact to phrase. Broad is no quotations, no nothing. It's
Yep.
just yeah. Okay, so Mechanicsburg, PA Homes is the one that's getting the most clicks and impressions.
We're getting a blazing click-through rate.
Yes, that's the encouraging thing. I mean, that it's wild.
Yeah. So, but the conversion rate is sort of holding. It's really, this is really small sample sizes. 22 clicks, 4 clicks. It's holding. The thing that I'm scratching my head about is why is it $1 a click in St. Pete, Florida versus $3, $4, $5 a click in Harrisburg? And part of that's going to be that my campaign is optimized down. If I look back, we probably started around $2 a click or $3 a click.
Right.
And the more Google trusted the campaign, they started rewarding us. I would also wonder about seasonality and changing market conditions.
Yeah. So there's a lot to unpack there. But one thing I want to emphasize for everybody watching this, you've mentioned several times buying the data.
Yeah.
And when you're doing things like this, like Google pay-per-click ads to grow your real estate practice, there is a value in that concept of playing the long game, and specifically to the Google ad platform. The more data you provide them, the more it will optimize over time. And so part of one of my follow-up questions is along those lines, which we'll get to at some point here, of how to best structure the way I've got some of this set up. But before I go to that, is there anything else in here that is, jumping out other than me just being patient and buying some more data?
Yeah, the CTR looks great. I'd give it another week and then trim out some of any keywords that are goose eggs, like the Zillow Mechanicsburg, PA. There's a chance, it was the third one down. There's a chance that that's showing anytime somebody types Zillow in. And then somebody looking for Zillow might not want to, when they get to the page, they might not want to opt in for something. Right.
Gotcha. But we can't know that for sure because it's only it's a blazing click-through rate, but it's only 3 clicks so far. Yeah. So it's two. That's a perfect example of buying more data. We need to get 20, 30, 40 clicks before we can, decide.
We didn't mention this either. We launched your campaign in dead zone, season wise.
Oh, 100%. I mean, so in Central PA, this is like literally. My kids went back to school today as of this is live, and the rest of the school districts in the area either are this week or last week, which means people with kids and I would say that it's not just Central PA. Like this is an area, a time of year where kids are going back to school, football's starting back up. Like there's a lot of things happening that the point is valid and valuable way beyond just Google pay-per-click. Right? Yeah. Like when you do marketing, you've got to account for the time of year, the market conditions, et cetera, because sometimes if you just were patient and let it play out, something that you thought was a losing campaign or a losing idea is really a winning idea, just not launched at the optimal time, let's say.
Yeah, we're going to have Labor Day, and then some of the buyers will come out of the woodwork. The other huge headwind here, and I haven't checked my campaign, I bet our prices are creeping up, is the macroeconomic backdrop. Because people now might be thinking, I'm going to wait and see. So my point being, there may be less real estate search volume than I had, in 18 months in the campaign I showed last week. I think the big win here, though, is just getting the baseline data. Like you can see that you're getting a nice CTR on an ad. You're getting clicks for around $3, and the page is converting at a fine number. So that's a lot to work with. I would just give it another week and then maybe start to get rid of some of the keywords that don't look great.
Well, so here's the question that I mentioned and teased a few minutes ago.
Yep.
Would it make more sense? And you may or may not know the answer to this, but would it make more sense to have one campaign and then different ad sets for each of these keyword groupings. And my logic there is it's feeding data to one campaign, and all of the conversions are showing up in one campaign, which
Yeah.
to me logically would, I don't know. I just
And
feel
that campaign would have a bigger budget.
right.
So yes, that would be the case, and the algorithm would optimize that campaign level bidding. I'm sure if we talk to a Google rep, they might say that. Doing this is fairly easy, Josh. You can copy those ad groups into one campaign.
Oh,
yeah. So you would have to go into each of the campaigns you created.
yep.
I can show you, and then just pick the ad group in that campaign and do a copy paste.
That seems pretty technical in nature. Why don't we save that?
Yeah.
Why don't you and I just record that as a separate standalone?
Yeah, and guys, just know that it's possible. But that's a really good thought, Josh. Do that. Put all your spending in one campaign under different ad groups, and then play around with scaling the ad groups that start to work.
Yeah, and just I know this is getting technical, but the big picture is I made a bunch of campaigns, and what I'm doing is spreading that data, the data that I'm buying, I'm spreading it over a bunch of campaigns versus having all one campaign with the same objective, which is to get people opting in on a landing page. It doesn't even have to be the same landing page, which it isn't for me, because each one is narrowly matching the audience, right? Like one for Mechanicsburg, one for Carlisle, one for Harrisburg, one for Cumberland County, and they all match that audience. But all of the data then is under one campaign umbrella, and theoretically, that should help give Google, more data to optimize and therefore lower my cost per lead. Because the better they perform, the more money I'm going to spend theoretically. Yeah. So Google wants to help you spend more money, but you've also got to help Google to know how to efficiently and effectively utilize that.
Yeah. So patience. Also try that. If you didn't do Harrisburg already, try a bigger one like that. With more volume.
I did Harrisburg. And I don't, that one has gotten some activity.
Yeah.
Let me see here. But not as much as I expected.
I think it could have something to do with just search volume and seasonality. So what do you got?
Well, so who was it here? A great comment came in from Brendan and his experience. And Brendan had mentioned on our first session that he's got some campaigns, Google PPC ad campaigns that are doing great. And he had mentioned that, from his experience also, it is that it's due to the number of clicks available. In other words, the cost is higher because there's just not much volume of clicks available. Good stuff. And he reiterated
but
that.
You're getting leads.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
100%. Absolutely. Yeah. And one of them has already turned into a potentially very tangible opportunity.
Conversation.
Yes. They have a home to sell outside the area and looking to move to the area. So, I mean, that's pretty good. Brendan also said to our point here that all search volume is down 20 to 30%, Zillow, Realtor, and Redfin. And that's probably a combination of seasonality and market conditions, right? So, but this is a great time to grab market share, right? To grab market share from your competitors. Okay, so we've addressed a number of things here that I think are great. One ad campaign with multiple ad sets. We've got to be patient and buy the data. And we're going to work on a simple solution for those that don't have the kind of tech that we utilized. One other thing before we switch to like what do we do after we get the conversion? Okay. One other thing is the niche that we used in here was new construction. And I had sent you a question that came from somebody in my EXP organization, Greg, about, how this might look for other niches or what you might do. And I forget, I can pull up his question, but I guess what other niches might people try that you've seen work or that just from our experience should work? Besides new construction, which is the ones that we used in my campaigns.
Yeah, starter homes is a good one. For first-time buyers.
Yep.
If you say deal, anytime you say deals, fixers, foreclosures. In my market, waterfront works really well.
Waterfront,
Golf,
absolutely.
golf communities, if you have that kind of market.
Yep.
Um,
Seasonally, like pool homes could work. I mean, it's not going to work in Central PA in the fall and winter per se, but if I launched something like that in the springtime, that may be a great way to capture in-market activity.
You know, another really good one that's weird. It's not really a micro niche, but just condos. For whatever reason, and it might be just my market, and Brendan might agree in Orlando, but there's a lot of condo search volume, and it tends to be that person searching specifically for condos might not see a lot of ads specifically for condos, it seems.
Well, and condos for you, but for me, it would be townhouses. We don't have a lot of condos, and even a lot of the condos that are technically condos here, most people perceive them as townhomes or townhouses. And so, like, for example, you know, condos may not be applicable to you, but maybe townhouses. Let me give two other ideas, and then we'll go to the after the conversion. Homes with land.
Yeah.
If you're in an area where there are properties with land, and the definition of with land is totally up to you, right? For me, I would typically do an acre or more. If you're in a really rural area, maybe it's 5 acres or more. If you're in a really densely populated area, maybe it's a half an acre or more, right? So with land is however you decide to define it. The other one, and this is applicable to Greg who asked the question, and I'll use an example of somebody in my organization on my team locally here, rent to own homes. There are some great rent to own programs available where investors will buy the home for the tenant or lots of different options. And that is a great opportunity. Like if that's a type of clientele that you want to serve, and you build your campaigns around rent keywords as well as the homes for sale, that is a super winning offer. Now, you may want to have nothing to do with rent to own. I get it. But I can tell you that there is opportunity in that niche if it's something you're looking to do.
Yeah, the home partners funnels, I've done a few things on that, just offering that list. And then on your bridge video, after somebody opts in, we're getting a little advanced here, but somebody opts in, hey, I'm sending you the potential homes list. And then you start telling them about home partners.
100%. Yeah. So home partners, Divvy, and my guy local here, Eric, he found another one that works. So home partners and Divvy really only are available in like the big metro areas, and I'm not in a metro area. But my guy Eric found one that works in more rural areas, and he has successfully closed, I think, 3 transactions now in the last 4 or 5 months using that program. Awesome. With extremely, happy clients, excited folks as well. How about properties in trust or cash offer? I don't know what he means by properties in trust, but cash offer. So are we talking focusing on sellers? Because that probably is a completely separate session. We should probably do another session down the road on generating seller leads with Google pay-per-click. But I don't want to open that can of worms today because we won't be able to effectively.
If I tell you, I'll have to kill you.
Right. Yeah. So that's a great question, and it's one that we'll dig into on a future session. I don't mean to pawn that off, but we only have so much time today, and we want to make sure that we fully address what we have time to unpack. Okay. Let's take a look at after the conversion. And have a conversation around that. So this is the SMART campaign. Let me get rid of this guy here. This is the SMART campaign that is firing off when someone opts in. This is specifically for the Carlisle one. So the way we've built the ad campaigns is every ad campaign is speaking to a specific city or county. The landing page matches that. And then the follow-up, the SMART campaign matches that. So it's all 100% congruent to what the person originally searched for, right? So where they started their path, their journey, we keep them on the scent. This is something that we talked about in part 1. Like this was one of the focus points of part 1 is keeping them on the scent, right? Like like not doing anything to throw them off, where to get extreme, you offer a list of Harrisburg new construction homes, and then when they opt in, you send them Philadelphia properties. Like that's not congruent. That's confusing to the person, and they're gone, right? Like you've lost that opportunity forever. So the more tightly congruent you can make the whole process, the better. And so this is a series of emails, voicemails, and text messages that fire off automatically when someone opts in to this. Now, they obviously won't get the text message and the voicemails if they haven't provided their cell phone, which is optional in the landing pages that we made. But they'll all get the emails. And part of our dispositioning process is we go and try and find their cell phone anyway. And if we're able to, we're successfully able to find that, we can add that to them and incorporate that in. And then one other thing we're doing with all of these is they also get added in KV Core to an automatic search alert. So twice a week, they get an email with the new construction homes available, in this example, in Carlisle, PA. That's some general best practices. Ryan, what do you have to add to that? And what else can we sort of unpack with that?
So those two things definitely. KV Core lets you trigger those those alerts based on the new construction hashtag coming in off the dock, and also your smart campaign is triggered that way. The two other things that I usually put in the follow-up formula are sending something cool every week, right? Which I'm sure you're working on. And for new construction, it's probably just a matter of featuring some kind of new construction project or doing some kind of webinar tour of what's being built.
Special incentive being offered by a builder. Here's an example. I just got an email yesterday of it's a new construction home that just came back on the market. It's complete, available for immediate occupancy. Like that's a great, a great example of that's essentially content. Yes, it's a property, but it's content that is topical, right? This one just came back on the market. It's available for immediate occupancy. If you'd like more information or a private tour, let me know.
So those are one-off sends that you do alongside the automation. And that's where the work comes, that's the work part of this, but it's highly leveraged and will separate you from everybody else who's got automated stuff going on. And then the other thing I have on the bullet points there is, and probably don't have time for the technical setup this day, is retargeting. So, if you do those four things consistently, your conversion rates will be way higher than if you don't.
100%. Those are the four sort of pillars of doing what I would call those four pillars is insurance against losing those clients, right? That's
and losing money on your campaign.
What's that?
And losing money on your campaign.
100%. Does it guarantee that every one of those leads is going to transact with you? Absolutely not. But without those four pillars, you're guaranteed to have a leakier funnel or pipeline, right? You're definitely going to lose more than if you are using those four pillars, which again are the smart campaign, okay? And smart campaign is the KV Core term, but whatever you're using, like the action plan, whatever it is, the point of that is to identify the most ready, willing, and able right now, right? The ones that are closer to the finish line, right? And uncover those so you can have a conversation and determine, can I help this person and how can I help this person?
And the beauty of this industry is if you only do that, you should be able to get enough of a conversion rate to pay for all your ads and then some.
Right.
And then the other three things just turbocharge everything.
Well, the automated property alerts is two things. Number one, people love looking at real estate. Everybody, right? And number two, it's what they signed up for in the first place.
Yeah.
Right? In the example, we offered Mechanicsburg, PA, new construction homes for sale. Right? So we're giving them the thing that they asked for on repeat. So, that's like the simplest, easiest long-term follow-up you could possibly do.
And they get every time they get that property alert email. I want to hammer this because I see a lot of people, from my experience, I see a lot of people using systems like KV Core and they don't have alerts set up. And I'm like, this is the simplest set and forget it way for somebody to have like an endorphin release in connection with your name. because it's like looking at house porn every day in their email.
100%.
I'm getting alerts from you right now, and I open the damn thing every day because I'm.
And so that's a perfect example. So what I was going to say is, if you don't have KV Core, you don't have any kind of fancy system. If you set every one of these leads up in your MLS, like that will work great. And I figure most MLS works this way. When Ryan looks at property, I get an email in the morning that says, Ryan looked at these 3 properties yesterday. Well, I might want to reach out to Ryan and say, hey, looks like you were checking out some properties yesterday. Let me know if there's any that you'd like a private tour of, or if you'd like the disclosures or, floor plans or, whatever, right? So it naturally gives you a way of it's like a self-selection, right? Like you can set people up on this stuff, and then the technology will let you know who you should follow up with, right? You don't have to go hounding them. You follow up with the people that respond to your emails, respond to your text messages, call or text you back from a voicemail, or are looking at properties. Like if you see Ryan looked at this property 7 times, I mean, there's probably a reason he looked at it 7 times, right? So just ask, hey, looked like this one caught your eye. Let me know if you'd like a private tour or more information about it. No, not a hard sales pitch or anything. You're just a service. You're just offering yourself of service about something that they've already expressed interest in through their behavior.
Somebody in Iowa searches for homes in Central PA. They go on Google. They have no idea who Josh Schoenly is. Within 2 weeks, they've seen your name and had that endorphin release like 10, 15 times. And you're their realtor in Central PA because they don't know anybody else. It's beautiful.
So smart campaign, action plan, whatever you want to call it, to identify the low-hanging fruit, the ones that are ready, willing, and able now. The ongoing property alerts to continue to stay in front of them. If nothing else, they continue to see your name. Now, the weekly ongoing content, if you want to really knock this out of the park, include video of you. And now you're letting people not only see your name, not only have you made good on promises, right? Like they requested this thing and you're delivering that thing for them, but now they're getting to see your personality and connecting with you on a deeper level. And I can tell you, because I do a lot of video content, I can tell you that it has happened time and time and time again at settlements or during when in escrow. People tell me the reason why we used you is because we felt like we knew you from the video content. And when you do that right, 2 things happen. Number 1, there is no competition. They have already decided they're going to work with you. And number 2, you actually you're leveraging technology to save yourself a lot of time, right? Because there's like, in any sort of transaction like this, there's like a courting process and a rapport building and relationship. Well, if you are putting video content out to them, you're doing that with leverage. You're doing it en masse, right? And I do video content one-to-many, but also one-to-one, right? So one thing I may do, going back to the example, if I see Ryan looked at a property 7 times yesterday, I may send him a personal video that says, hey, Ryan, it looks like you were looking at a property on our site yesterday. I'm sending this because I've never officially introduced myself, so I wanted to introduce myself, and also to let you know, if you'd like a private tour or more information, all you have to do is ask. I'm happy to help any way I can, right? That's an example of a one-to-one. But the ongoing, right? So sending the ongoing content. Let's say that property example where I said, a new construction that came on for immediate occupancy. I could send a video one-to-many. Hey, it's Josh with eXp Realty. I just saw this property come back on the market. It's a new construction home in this neighborhood. It's available for immediate occupancy. I thought it might be of interest to you, so I wanted to send it your way. Let me know if you'd like a private tour, right? Like, it's simple stuff like that can make a huge, huge difference and compound. It's like exponential ROI over time if you do this stuff.
And you guys can also do what Josh and I are doing right now. Just fire up a StreamYard account or a Zoom account, go live once a week and just talk about the market or whatever the niche is. That's kind of the easiest way. And, you saw what Josh does to get you guys on these sessions. You send an email before, you do the thing, and then you send an email after, and you've got 3 high quality engagements every week, pretty much.
Yep. A great question from Robert Craig. thoughts on setting up a funnel for people moving from the Chicago or the Midwest to sunny Arizona?
Just target the location we did last week, but just target people in Chicago who are freezing. Probably stick to winter. I don't know if it really matters. And Robert, we have similar markets in that sense because a lot of people are coming to Florida. You can do that. You can on Facebook and Google. You can just say only show this ad to people freezing right now. Use language in your ad that's like says stop freezing, buy a house in Arizona.
Yep.
And that's basically it. But use the same flow we used last week.
Same flow, and you could choose the whole state, right? You could choose all of Illinois, all of Minnesota, all of Wisconsin, all of New York, all of Pennsylvania for that matter, all of New Jersey, right? Like you can do it in a way that is very strategic. And if you add in some pain points, time of year, and that goes back to another niche example, right? Like the pool idea, where that's not geographic, but you're pointing to a pain point like, hey, summer's coming. If you want a great house where you can also enjoy the summer or whatever, enjoy cooling off during the summertime, and that additional context and hook content can go in the description where you have a little bit more. I think it's up to 90 characters in the description. Yeah. That's where you can play up some of that other stuff. And he says, awesome, thanks. This one, I can't see who the name is, but the first thing I have in my new construction follow-up campaign is a very short video putting my face and name, AKA a real person, in the thank you page of the initial landing page. So that's what we call a bridge page. And in the first email. I think that is fantastic, and that will serve you immensely. I also add a value video, i.e. pros and cons of new construction in each video. My North Carolina peeps get 2 things weekly, recurring weekly deals, and first to know builder incentives and price reductions, and they get 1 text per week. That is a fantastic, phenomenal, both short-term and long-term follow-up plan, and one that will ensure that that person is getting every possible clientele from that.
And the only ongoing work there is probably just the builder incentives email, which takes a half hour or whatever. You're just probably taking things that the builders send you and repackaging it into an email.
Yeah, 100%.
Half hour a week you've got a conversion machine.
And if that's the niche you're serving, like that's just part of the job. Like you're doing your job to be the knowledge broker about new construction in your market, right? Like, and that alone makes you of more value and service to that clientele, right? That's another layer of competitive advantage for you. So it's work you should be doing anyway, and then you just turn that work into content that gets you more clients.
So nuts and bolts, just because if anybody's watching this and they're getting a little overwhelmed by all these things, when you launch the Google campaign, try to have the automated, at least the quick little 3 to 5 email sequence, drip sequence, and the automated alerts configured, because that's not a lot of stuff. And then just plan to have the other, kind of know that you're going to start the following week doing something every week that's a mass email. You don't have to have that really concretely planned until you know the campaign's working.
Totally. Yeah. So along those lines, let's kind of bring this bird in for a landing here. So number 1, if you didn't watch part 1, you definitely want to check that out. There is a link in the description above or below this video, depending on where you're watching it. Number 2, there is also a manual that we put together with step-by-step instructions, screenshots, etc. And there is a link for where you can go and create a free account and get access to that. Number 3, if you would like us to set this up for you, we do have a concierge setup service. There should be a link for that. And if not, you can comment or email mike@growwithjosh.com. And number 4, I don't remember what number 4 is, but moving forward, here's moving forward. This won't be the last time that we're going to be talking about Google pay-per-click ad campaigns on these real estate test dummy sessions. Just because someone requested it, we'll have to dive into seller-focused ideas a little bit. I don't know that that is the best platform for it, but certainly we can unpack and brainstorm and mastermind a little bit around that. And as well as taking, like, here's my thought. In a month or so, once I've bought more data, we can take another look at it. see what that additional data looks like, you know, and you know how we can make adjustments.
In a month, I predict you're a few $100s in and you're working with at least one buyer heavily. That's that's like the first kind of kickoff, and then snowballs from there. But you can't, after a week, really know. You just can't make any decisions.
Yeah, totally. And so, Lisa, I'm sorry I wasn't able to give you attribution there. For some reason, it just said Facebook user. It didn't say it was you, Lisa, but that is awesome. So Lisa is the one that was sharing her new construction follow-up campaign. That's a wonderful thing to model, right? A bridge page, a follow-up campaign that has video content from you in it. That's you know, that's like pouring gasoline on the fire when it comes to your follow-up campaigns, smart campaigns, action plans, whatever the case may be. The more you can integrate that into the process, the easier you are making it for the leads and potential clients to create a connection with you, and to decide in advance that they are going to work with you. That's the beautiful thing. When you start getting emails, phone calls, and texts of people saying, hey, we're ready to buy that new construction home in Lakeland. We've been getting your emails, and we just need to know what to do next, right? Like those are the best kind of communications to receive when you do this stuff right. So great stuff, Ryan. I can't wait to review again in a month. As I mentioned, if you guys need help, if you missed part 1 of this, and you want the manual, all of that you can find in the description above or below. This will be a continuing or an ongoing topic here for these real estate test dummies live sessions. So stay tuned for that. And next week, I don't know that we decided what we were going to dig into next week. You'll just have to stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
And this is a good place to mention also, if you're not already subscribed on whatever platform that you're on, make sure you subscribe to be notified of these live sessions. And keep an eye on those. We are planning to do these every Wednesday at 1 Eastern. Every Wednesday at 1 Eastern. And we'll be the test dummies for you, right? We'll test and try things out and bring you what worked, what didn't, and how you can use that information to save yourself some time, money, and effort. So, Ryan, thanks again. Oh, and if you're watching this live, at the top of the next hour, Ryan, we're going to reverse roles. Ryan is hosting a session for thanks.io and using direct mail to grow your real estate business.
Do you have a way to chat the live attendees, the link to that?
Do you have the link?
Yeah, all I have is a Zoom link though. But
drop me the Zoom link.
Yeah. And then that session, we're going to drill into some real estate thanks.io direct mail stuff. That session, the replay will be on the thanks.io YouTube channel. So yeah,
perfect. Sweet. Thanks everybody. Thank you, Ryan. Right. And look forward to next week.
Yep. See you later.